win. Going to check in with Shox and Marin over the interview lounge.
Thank you very much, guys. Indeed, top laner Marin and Homan to assist in a translation after another very convincing victory of SKT, who are now 4-0 in the group. And Marin, you did a lot of dunking on Darius, and we've seen a couple of times in the World Championship that the Gnar was actually a good matchup into Darius. What do you think happened that made it go completely out of control and very good for you?
마린 선수 일단 4승 0패로 연승 가돌라인 축하드리고요. 그리고 지금 2전판에서 다리우스로 이제 찍어 누른다고 하죠. 덩크하는 모습을 많이 보여줬었는데 보통 다리우스 대 나르 하면 나르가 좀 더 좋은 상성이 있다고 얘기하는데 이번 경기에 어떻게 하다 그렇게 좀 유리한 경기를 풀어나가는지 말씀해 주세요.
네. 일단 나르랑 다리우스가 그렇게 어느 한쪽이 유리하거나 하진 않는데 그게 이제 정글러 선수가 이제 클리어러브 선수가 바텀에서 시야를 보여주고 이제 저희 정글러 선수가 탑에 와가지고 다이브를 했기 때문에 거기서부터 아마 스노볼이 계속 굴러가서 일방적인 매치업이 나왔던 것 같아요.
I don't think the two champions have both champions are in a pretty equal hand, but then it's about which jungler intervenes first. So for this game, we saw that clear love around bottom vision. So Bengi ganked top, and after that dive was successful, it was easy for me to snowball from that point.
Yeah, you did definitely snowball, but not to take anything away from your individual performance, because we saw some fantastic games from you, also the Renekton game last week. What is it like to be on a team like SKT, where everyone is always looking at Faker as the big carry, but it seems that you are more taking that role now? What do you plan to show further in the World Championship?
비록 지난 경기에서는 정글 도움을 이겼다고 하지만 마린 선수는 이번 대회에서 레넥턴 경기도 그렇고 되게 매우 인상적인 경기를 보여주고 있습니다. 사실 SKT 하면 다들 이제 페이커 선수나 그 팀 자체를 많이 칭찬하는데 이번 대회에서는 마린 선수가 되게 팀의 으뜸 캐리로서 역할을 하고 있는데 이것에 대해서 어떻게 생각하시나요?
일단 그런 상황이 나와서 캐리를 하게 됐는데 일단 페이커 선수도 그렇고 저도 그렇고 캐리력은 있는 선수기 때문에 그럴 수 있었다고 생각하고 앞으로도 그런 경기를 계속 이어갈 수 있었으면 좋겠네요.
I think Faker and I both have very high potential to carry the game, and I just hope that we can continue this kind of games where I can carry or Faker.
One of the two carries, and it would be pretty good. You guys in 4-0 already. The fact that you beat EDG twice so convincingly, and they were your only opposition just a couple of months ago. What does this mean for you guys in light of how strong SKT is in the World Championship, and who might stand in your way on the road to the Summers Cup?
이제 지금 몇 달 전까지만 하더라도 이제 SKT의 가장 큰 적수인 EDG 팀을 조별 예선 때 2대0 꺾음으로써 이제 남은 대회 기간 동안 이제 SKT의 가장 큰 걸림돌이 되거나 우승하기까지 어떠한 난관이 남았다고 생각되는지 마린 선수의 생각을 말씀해 주세요.
일단 지금 모든 팀들이 상향 평준화돼서 다 잘한다고 생각해서 일단 8강도 그렇고 4강도 그렇고 다 위험한 상대들이 올라올 것 같아서 네, 다들 위험하다고 생각해요.
I think every region have improved a lot for this tournament, and any team that advanced from quarterfinals, semifinals can be a big threat to us. So I think it's too early to say that tournament is ours at this point.
All right, well, you're 4-0, at least in the groups already, and advancing. Congratulations, thank you so much. Marin, 4-0 already, SKT. And not too confident, but I think they're off to a great start. Take it away.
Thank you, Shox. Another very convincing win there by SKT, starting off 4-0. You know, and up against a team that we thought would be a front runner in this tournament and would put up a good fight. But this is 2 games in a row now where SKT has exposed them somewhat.
I still think EDG are a front runner. Like I think 2 very decisive games against them. But as we said, SKT are a team that if they get that early snowball, then they're going to win majority of the games that way. It's if teams can protract the games. And so far, sure, it's proven that EDG isn't the team that can do that in the best of 1 format, but you also need to give them a little bit more time.
Right, but Tabe, I want to come to you because what we have now seen is a little bit more of a focus toward the top lane. We just heard from Marin there that they recognized in that matchup, Darius versus Gnar, it was going to be important to see which jungler could intervene first. SKT did that, and Marin ran away with the game.
I think that game, there's a few critical points. The first point is Elise had the blue buff start, and when he see that Clear Love is invading their bot lane, they're trying to gank the Morgana and Tristana lane, and after they knew that, Benji reacted immediately and went to invade their red buff. But because of afraid of Benji's gank, the lane is being pushed by Darius. Because it is a obvious counter-picking lane. That means Darius should not be ahead of the lane. But because of afraiding the gank of Elise, the lane is towards the tower and the dive is successful and is snowballed very quickly.
I think it's so interesting because it's the second time in a row, like in both matchups, Amazing J just gets completely screwed. We had the lane stall situation in the first game and in this game as well. I think even though I think Marin is a better player, which kind of showed in like the overall matchup, still the kind of strategy to just focus on the bot lane is just so strange to me.
But one thing I do want to point out is that the bot lane strategy worked. They should have won that. There were 3 potions on Mako versus a mana potion on Wolf. Like, that should have been a very one-sided bottom lane. So they traded a top lane advantage for a bottom lane advantage, trusting that they had CC and not damage in their top lane. What happened was Mako just didn't do anything that game. His Thresh has been underwhelming. They need him on a playmaking support, which is why when I thought that they had Braum available, they would go with the Braum because it sets Pawn up for a lot more success as well and shuts down some of what the Rise is trying to bring into the game.
Well, there is something to be said for the Morgana being picked into Braum, which is considered somewhat of a soft counter. However, I will give to you the fact that they were doing a lot of work in that bot lane. We saw that atrocious back timing by the Tristana because of the canceled recall, you know, and that really did put them in a hole. But the double teleport by SKT, Rise and Darius being able to show up in that crucial, you know, gank bot lane, which ended up trading 1-for-1 in kills, which should have been an advantage for EDG, was kind of big in terms of evening out that bot lane. More importantly, though, to your point, Yamato, about mistakes being taken advantage of in these high-level games, when you do have 2 teams that can execute with a lead, we saw a crucial fight, 17 minutes into the game in the bottom river, ends up being an ace for SKT for only 2 kills to EDG.
For sure, for sure. The way it starts is kind of strange to me because Bengi is kind of caught off guard. We can start rolling the clip. Bengi uses his repel. My thought process right away is Pawn should gold card him. Bengi's standing right there. They're overcommitting into Faker. Darius gets the TP off in a perfect position because EDG is so clumped up. He's getting these heavy Qs off and he's doing too much damage. You try to kill him, he's kind of surviving with his low HP, and then again his Q heals him up and he's surviving way too long.
Right, so the idea being that because he uses his only escape, they could have surrounded him as he came back down, killed him, then moved into the rest of the team with a man advantage.
So I actually want to dispute that fairly heavily because you look at SKT, every single member has flash and they're fighting on a terrain advantage because Tristana has a reposition continually throughout that fight. You collapse on Elise there and they unload over the wall. All Elise has to do is flash over the wall, Tristana unloads, Morgana unloads. All of a sudden, you were trying to fight at a terrain disadvantage with shorter range carries against a very mobile, very strong at that point. I think that they did the right thing. They collapsed onto the right carries. The person who won that fight was Marin. That flash into the double Q healed him for so much damage. They did not expect the Darius to live that long. If they got rid of the Rise and the Darius at the start of that fight, EDG had a chance because they had very good target prioritization. You hit the Elise at that part of the game, it's already game over.
Ooh. Well, I have to completely disagree. It's like, if you just take a look at the minimap at that point, we saw that simply because Bengi got caught off guard, he was kind of a free kill.
He had flash straight into Tristana.
Well, I think it was fine, huh?
Well, I want to move back over to Tabe to finish us off here. With EDG's performance in these last 2 games versus SKT, what do you feel they need to make a change in most moving towards the bracket stage? Because SKT and EDG are front runners here and are most likely going to make it out of the group. But EDG's second seed, as a team, where do you see their biggest weakness?
I think EDG's biggest weakness is the top lane. But I'm not sure why EDG is not choosing to let Koro to be the top laner. But because we can see that Amazing J isn't learning from the experience from last game. Either he is first picking Darius and being counterpicked by Renekton, or he chooses a counterpicking hero such as Nar as to lane against Darius. Is also has a huge fail. And we can see that, like just now Spawn has mentioned that Mako have fresh and has early ganked by Clear Love. They didn't have enough aggression to the to SKT spot lane. That means okay, in this patch, if you want to win the game, EDG must have a huge improvement on their top lane.
And I want to pick up on what Tabby's just said, because like their bottom lane is an aggressive bottom lane when they want to. And they've got one of the best reserve top laners in the world in Koro. He's not a carry, but if you put him on Gnar, he will live through these ganks. If you want to camp the top lane, play Amazing J. If you want to leave it on an island, you have to play Koro in these games.
Right, so they're putting Amazing J in, but not making the necessary strategic changes in order to support his playstyle.
I want to also mention a point that we have never seen Clearlove on top lane. He is always sitting, babysitting the bot lane, but bot lane, he hasn't get any kills because there's Morgana. And the only time that Marine has died is because of Twisted Fate. But the lane is not being pushed. The turret is still alive. That means, okay, I will die. But still, Marine is the king of the top lane.
All right, well, there we have it. SKT starting the day strong and securing their quarterfinal spot. Not yet determined which seed they will be, but we are one game in and the action has just begun. So stick around because coming up next, the Bangkok Titans take on Europe's H2K. Worlds 2015 continues right after this.
Wins right here. They are guaranteed the third spot in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, the Cocoon lands here as well as Marin makes his way in. Oh, he's going to flash into the range of the Q, but Bengi trying to get the work done. Amazing J walking around. Teleport from Amazing J is going to be cancelled as EDG. Triple apprehend from Marin as he may clear this one up.
Jump de la part de Beng. Beng met suffisamment de dégâts. Bandit au sol. Il lui reste Amazing J.
Fantastic exhaust is going to be used though as Bengi. He comes down, but Amazing J finds his way underneath the turret, but that's so much damage. The 2-0 against EDG here for SKT.